We have an enormous week ahead of us. We have a ton of economic reports and Fed speeches. Plus, on a technical basis, where does Nvidia stand right now? Are we going to see a drop, or is it going to bounce significantly from where it's at right now? Is Tesla stock going to 384 next? That would be absolutely awesome to see. We'll take a look at those technicals as well. And then Bitcoin, are we still on the race to see 100,000, or are we going to drop off the face of the earth with it? We're going to have to take a look and see what the technicals are suggesting. So just a rundown through some of the numbers that we have coming up throughout this week. Economically speaking, we have ISM manufacturing coming up for us, and then we have the JOLTS tomorrow, 10 a.m. That's going to be huge for us that we're watching for to see what exactly is going with those job openings. Are they going to come in around the 7.5 million consensus that we have, or is it going to be significantly higher or lower than that? Higher could be a very bullish thing for the markets. I'm going to keep an eye on that. And then lower from there can also be a bit troublesome for us, but we're going to have to watch and see. We have been in a decline recently. We're actually off trend now. We're down below trend, I should say, from where we were at prior to the pandemic. So that's also something to keep in mind as we watch those jolts. What we're looking for is, are we still in Goldilocks scenario that the market has permission to travel upward from here? Or are we finding ourselves more in a position where we're starting to see, maybe there are some cracks, maybe we have some recession coming our way? We're going to have to watch. Black Friday numbers are going to be huge for that as well, to talk about what the consumer's doing, and then also the forward outlook from there, which I think we get from the ISM services and manufacturing data coming out this week. Moving on, ISM services, by the way, are on Wednesday. Jerome Powell speaking at 1:45 p.m. on Wednesday, and that's probably going to be pretty big. Probably a lot to do with the Beige Book coming out. And then moving into a Thursday, we have challenger job cuts, initial jobless claims, and then Friday's the big one where we get the unemployment rate and the non-farm payrolls. Probably the biggest catalyst economically speaking, besides the jolts and Jerome Powell speaking this week, would be the non-farm payrolls that we have, which last month 12,000, this month expected 195,000. We'll have to see soft numbers there. Recessionary, if we get strong numbers there, then rally on goes the markets as that signals more of that Goldilocks soft landing scenario. And so we're going to have to watch for that. Now, mind you, what we want to see is the Fed cutting those rates, bringing those back, and a strong economy, strong labor force in there. That's something that's going to keep us bullish on the markets. So big week this week. Michigan consumer sentiment capping things off at 10 a.m. I don't know the consumer sentiment is the huge thing that we're looking for right now. I don't know it's the biggest catalyst that we have for us. Plus the market's up, so consumer sentiment is probably also going to be strong. So getting over into the charts from there, let's pop these up here for you so that you can see. We'll kick things off with SPY. So the S&P 500's ETF. There we go. Pop this up, and there we go. So what we're looking at now for SPY, it's actually this one right here. We were in a rising wedge pattern in the near term, kind of tumbled out of that. Now we're still right along the bottom of that trend line. This week determines if, in my opinion, if we get significantly strong numbers that point towards Goldilocks. I think we can pop up above these resistances here. Maybe we can finally see that 610 number come out. If instead we get things that signal weakness in the economy, weakness in the labor force, then we lose that 600 number that we've just recently finally got a full candle. I got to point that out that Black Friday was the first full candle close that we've gotten above the 599.31, where we actually solidly able to close up above 600. We actually had that, let me see, the closing price $600.65 on Tuesday of last week, and then we finally got that full candle above that resistance. Matter of fact, let's turn that into support now as we got that candle up above it. And I think it's up to this week to find out if we hold that as support or if that's going to turn back into resistance for us when we come back down to the 20-day, which has been acting as support for us, or even down to the 50-day down below that. We're going to have to watch and see what the reports say. Moving over into the Qs. For QQQ, tracking the Nasdaq 100, where are we at right now? We got a whole tangle of things. First of all, and I'll interpret some of this. This trend line right here is the most recent resistance that we have across the most recent peaks. And then we have this support down here for this consolidation that we're forming near term. And then what you see outside of that, these longer terms when we're the rising wedge patterns that we were on. As a matter of fact, those can still act as resistance for us, but I am going to start subtracting those off right now. And I think we're going to start looking at just this consolidation pattern that you see. There we go. So we're going to have to watch for that to see which way we break out of that. I think Nvidia is going to be a huge determiner for which way that we go on that one. So we'll get to Nvidia in just a moment. IWM right now, Tracking the Russell 2000, Monday, we hit an all-time high in that coming at 244.98. So not quite a full dollar, is about 30 cents or so above where we're at for the previous all-time high back in November of 2021. I believe that is when that was. And then recently having some trouble really keeping that momentum going, keep it to the upside. We have a little bit of a drop-off momentum-wise, but still bullish and staying up above. Let me see what that number is. At 238 is going to be huge for us. We need to push on to 250 up above that. Hopefully we have the momentum to get there. I think this week is going to be critical in finding out which way we go with that. Keeping an eye on the federal funds rate, that dropping, pulling interest rates down and making cheaper borrowing for these small cap companies is going to be huge for them. Goldilocks absolutely necessary to see this play out. So over to Nvidia. What am I seeing for Nvidia? Well, let me take off some of the technicals for a moment so we can just look at some of the moving averages here. Let's take a look first at the SMAs, the simple moving averages. So we have the 50, which we actually closed just barely above that on Wednesday, so that's a bullish thing. And then look what happened on Black Friday when the market was open. We got back on top to 50. That's a bullish thing as well. In the pre-market hours, right in between where we closed and that 50. So we're still in good shape for recovery, especially if the momentum indicator can get back up above 50 right now, which as it closed on Friday at 47.73. So we'll see if we can get that. We're down below that 20-day, which is going to be significant for us to see further bullishness. Now, as per the EMA, some faster moving averages here, we are currently stuck in between this green 5-period moving average that's on your screen and the yellow 13-period moving average. You can see that we peekabooed up above it and then close back down below it. We have to get on top of that 5, start riding on top of these moving averages again to get more bullishness coming out of it. The fact that we retested the 50 and found it as support is a bullish thing for us looking at Friday's trading hours. So today, keeping that 50 is going to be absolutely huge. And why I go on so much about this, if we go out to the weekly chart, reset the view, what you see is the price going up, volumes tapering off. We see the RSI also tapering for us, so we have a bearish divergence happening, but right now we still found that 13 period as a result, as support, as support, and as a result, so far we're able to rebound off of that, not solidly back up on top of the 5 period, the 5-week exponential moving average. We do want to get back up on top of those. As you can see, when we're right on top of the moving averages, that's a bullish thing, and it's when we dangle off of them that we have that bearish movement instead. We're still in very bullish territory for Nvidia, so any drop that we get should be temporary, should be short-lived. Maybe this drop is all that we're going to see for right now. And it's back to Bulls on Parade, to throw out a quote out there to Rage Against the Machine. I'm not sure that I should be quoting them, but who knows. So for Nvidia, like I said, still in very bullish shape. It'd be nice to see the RSI pop back up above 50 to see this continue upward. I do have a short hedge position out there right now against my Nvidia position. I'm a long-term holder of Nvidia. And if this drops, I want to have a way to profit using the short-term hedge from that drop in order to buy things like more Nvidia shares. For example, cheap Nvidia, yes please. So that's something that I'm watching for this from that bearish divergence. And if I toss these technicals up here that you can see, you can see that we found support on top of this 136. That was critical that we found that, and not surprising that we had such a nice move up about 2% or so on Friday. Got to get back up above that 140 line that's here. You can see the area of resistance that we have to the top up to about 144. Bitcoin, moving over into Bitcoin, we have resistance right now. That 95,413 has been tough for us. We need to get back up on top of that. We need to hold it. And you guys can see we're sort of consolidating right now. Have this triangle pattern, symmetric triangle pattern right now, where we're coming down off these peaks and then these valleys where we can find that support. We want to stay on top of that. Breaking out of this consolidation pattern can indicate direction. To break out the top can be a bullish thing, fall down through the bottom of this thing can be a bearish thing. I do think that we're still going to hit that $100,000 price tag. That's this white line that you can see going straight across the screen. I have 100,000 marked here, and I think that we can get there. We have a little bit of what looks like an inverse head and shoulders, but it looks like so far we failed to break out of that at the moment. We have to get back on top of 95,413. If instead we get rejected, we can find ourselves at the bottom of this trend line that we have right here for that symmetric triangle pattern. So be on the lookout for that. And then let's wrap things up with Tesla here. There's the Tesla chart. We are currently on top, the 350.68, which is the 618 Fibonacci extension level, and that's a critical value in the pre-market hours. We have 384 up here to the upside that we want to be watching for. So if we can get on top of the 618 level, we could have clearance up to 384, which would be an absolutely incredible move, about another 10% from where we're at right now to get up to that level for Tesla. So there's a lot of reasons to be bullish on the movement that we're seeing right now from Tesla. We are not currently in overbought territory on a daily basis. We've actually had that cooling period and found the 13-period moving average as support for us, and the pre-market hours are moving back up. So I think that December overall could potentially be a strong finish for us. We're going to have to watch and see what the technicals bring, what the economic reports bring, what the Fed has to say. And the CME Fed Watch tool can also be an important thing to watch which way we're going. Is the economy going strong while the rates are coming down? Because if so, that can be a really good thing for the markets overall, especially with the Russell 2000 stocks are involved as well. So as far as strong consumers staving off a recession, that's very strong for Tesla, where we see kind of some pressures in automotive, and that includes EV as well. Tesla still top dog in the EV space, among the other things that they have going for them in robotics, in artificial intelligence, and then really pumping out what we see for energy generation and storage, which with the what we have going on with AI, for example, being such a power-hungry field, like nuclear is probably the next go-to for that one. As a matter of fact, I think that more nuclear is being brought online as a result of that. But also having a way to capture and hold on to that energy, I think that could put Tesla sort of on that pathway, if you will, especially if we still have the renewables, still finding ways to more cheaply capture energy. Now, mind you, nuclear is still one of the most efficient ways, if not the most efficient way that we have. That's not exactly my area of expertise, but I believe that to be the case. And so if Tesla can be, somehow part of one of the beneficiaries, if you will, of needing that energy generation and storage and that innovation in that space, which I think that they're lined up for, that's a very bullish future for Tesla, which keeps me a long-term investor for them as well. With the bullishness in the short term, can also be a very fun thing to watch those shares go up in price, and maybe we can capture some of that appreciation on the way up. Speaking of appreciation, guys, I appreciate you for staying so long. If you would like to show some of the appreciation and see my technicals, and then also see my buys and sells, you can do so using the link down in the description for the Patreon. Click that, sign up, and head on over to the Discord. That's where you'll find everything. And then also, if you don't learn to do the technical analysis yourself, and also get a massive discount on the course for the technical analysis and the bread recipe trading strategy, which is something that I personally use for my trading. Stockmo Academy, there's a link for it down in the description. Click that, sign up using the code word DOCTOR, DOCTOR. It's going to be a massive discount on that course. And there's also a learning community that goes along with it. Any questions that you have from that course, from setting up the bread recipe trading strategy, from using that bread recipe trading strategy, whatever it is, you can always ask over there as well. Guys, thanks for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning. We'll see you next video.